Hang on, it's line one for you, darling.
Is that the Z phone?
Yeah, it is.
Calling.
It's brim, 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 brim.
It's a direct line to Kawasaki.
Hey there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, California.
Sure.
Sunny is a really strong word.
It was pretty sunny today.
It was nice.
Yeah,
But sunny's a state of mind, darling. It's a state of mind, Charlie.
Hey everyone, this is Liza, and I can say my number right now is 7. Also with us in the garage tonight, it's Miss Emma.
Hello, darlings. And I can exclusively reveal to you all, because it's just us, my number goes up to 11.
What?
Yes, it goes up to 11. It used to go
No
up
way.
to 10, but I wanted just a little bit more. So now it goes up to 11.
That's one more.
Yes, exactly.
One
And
more than 10.
joining us from their love shack, it's Charley and Micah.
We are currently N-1.
Oh,
Currently.
Are-
We are N-1.
Sold 2, bought 1.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We'll get to that.
Hmm.
And coming to us from his luxurious abode with his new 4-legged friend, it's Bagel.
Meow, 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 meow.
Quit playing with your pussy, Bagel.
Oh my gosh.
I can't help it. She won't leave me alone.
Wait, are we talking about your cat or your girlfriend?
Yes.
My
Oh
cat.
my God, she went there.
I
God.
needed to clarify, that's all.
Oh, look how happy that little cat is.
Yes, this is Persephone. I adopted her yesterday, and she is a sweet little love bug.
Well, we can see that.
Oh,
Persephone.
nice.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, she purrs a lot, and she's about 1 year old. And yeah, she's super happy to be here. I'm excited and just
Yay.
over the moon.
Well, and also joining us is everyone's favorite trailer trash. It's Rick.
Aw, I'm Cassie.
That's not right.
Deny it. Deny it.
Yeah, well, hi, I'm Rick. I may own a house, but I sure do live in a trailer. Or Enigma to be continued.
Well, I'll tell you who would live in a trailer if it came with a giant 5-car garage. It's Douglas.
Hi. Welcome. Hi. Good to have me. What do you
Oh, it is good to have you,
My
Doc.
number is 6.
6.
6.
Nice.
11.
Doug, it's so nice to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
You never really went away.
No, I
You've
never
always
really
been
will.
around.
I've just been sheltering in my little cave.
I know. So, so we'll get to the news. So I said my number is 7. Of course, that number is the number of bikes I have in my garage. And yesterday that number was 8. And that's because I sold the CX 500 Turbo. Yay!
Yay.
And you know what? I thought you would be sadder about it, but you're kind of stoic about it because you know it's gone on to a better place. I always feel that you felt you weren't giving that bike everything it needed.
Well, I don't have a weatherproof garage, and I don't
Right.
have any opportunity to ride it. And I don't need something to ride to shows to have old men talk to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to my life, darling.
I know.
Change
No.
your mind. No.
It's a very cool bike, and it's one of those bikes that I can say I owned. But I really do care about the bike, and Emma, I think you can attest to that. I care most about the bike and finding a better situation for the bike.
Yeah.
I found the best situation,
Yes.
and that is that I found a nice new owner who I also kicked in, $1,000 of Emma credit to do whatever he wants her to do to it. So now the bike is going to be able to go to the next level of not so much restoration. What do you call it?
I think that preservation
Preservation,
is the
yes.
key with that bike because it's so good. I think, a little localized touch up here and there, a little bit of refinishing on the nuts and bolts, a little bit of just laying of the hands on it, really going to bring it up to the next level.
Yeah, I just wanted to see that bike goes to a better home. And look, I did my job. Is when I got it, it was in pieces, and I got it together and running and 100% functioning. So I hope that every other person who is in its life takes it a little bit further. That's all I want. But I'm not the only one who bought or sold a bike. Charley.
Well, we sold 525 cc's and got 600.
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what'd you sell?
Well, we sold the Honda Gram a while ago, but it just hadn't been picked
We're
up.
in the
kind
process of
but
selling it. My friend Sky just started riding. She took my class, or took the CMSP class with me teaching it a couple weeks ago, and she finally got her license. She's been slowly buying the bike from us piece by piece. So now she's got just like the handlebars and the brakes left. So we've let her keep
Aw.
Yeah.
Yep. And we also sold.
Oh, well, yeah. So Adrian bought the DRZ.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder for people, Adrian is president of the Vampires, right?
Yep.
And all her bikes burnt up in the fire up in Boulder Creek last summer. And she's been looking for replacements. And I think the DRZ rang the bell.
Yep. She's been borrowing it for a couple weeks already. And
Weeks?
No, like months. I've been letting her use it, and then it was like, "Well, you want to buy it?" And then it was like, "Yeah." So it worked out. Well, I asked if she wanted to buy it or if she wanted to give it back. Either was fine with me, or if she wanted to borrow it for longer. But whatever.
What'd you get?
I bought a 2000 CBR 600 track bike.
Nice.
With 0 lights, 0 speedometer, and it kind of has a tachometer, but not really.
Right. And this is a true track bike. Me and Charlie, we were looking over it because, we wanted to do some maintenance that had obviously been deferred for a very long time.
Well,
and we got to the engine number and it has no engine number. And so you immediately think, oh, it's stolen. But it's not. The plinth is there and cast. It's just never had one.
Well, so I bought the bike and I got a vague backstory, which basically some racing team built the bike back in whenever the fuck. And it's then like sat in storage, and then it's gone through a bunch of different owners in the track community, and it's been a lot of people's like secondary race bike. But the owner I purchased it from basically had no idea what's been done to it, and said, yeah, it's ran on 110 octane, and we rejetted it so it can run on pump gas. And I was like, I don't think that's how that works.
No.
So, and that's when I'm like, okay, so this guy, and I asked, like, do you have any paperwork or documentation about like what's been done to the motorcycle? And nothing's there. And I was like, well, do you have like the old jets that you took out of it? And he's like, no, the guy kept them. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, no.
I'm like, all right. So I just brought it down the garage, and I just want to like go through the whole thing. I want to check the compression, and I want to just try to figure out what's been done to the motor, because it's obviously a race motor at this point. There's obvious motor done to it.
It's very low P idle. It's got cams in it. I'll tell you that much.
Like maybe it's big bore. Who knows?
So I got a question. Can you not get injectors from like an F4i? Is that something you can swap out?
I don't want to.
I mean, it'd be so much. I mean, you can't just put injectors on. What you'd have to do is you'd put the injectors on it, then the fuel rail, then the ECU, then the fuel tank and pump, and so on and so on, and then the ambient air sensor and the engine temperature sensor and blah, 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 blah. It's easier just to buy an F4i. And on top of that, Liza, there is nothing wrong with carbureted bikes.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
if you look-
except for this mystery jet system
Well,
going on.
well, so basically we were working with what somebody had said. So I said, Charlie, let's pull the bank of the carbs off and have a look at what's in there. So we've got the knowledge. So the carbs came off, we pulled the bowls off. And if I remember right, Charlie, it was 140 in the outside two and 142 fives in the center two, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's about where you want to be. So the stock jets were 132s. So he's gone up about 8%, which is about where you want to be for stock airbox straight through exhaust, which is what you've got. So he's about on the money.
Well, so if it's running much higher compression, wouldn't your jets change as well?
Well, no, it's all down to efficiency of the engine.
Right.
I'm pretty happy with where the carburation is. We'll know a little more when we get the frigging lid off it and have a look at the cams.
So I bought a new lid, just so you know, so we can destroy that thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know whether it's age or
It's probably both.
somebody had glued it on.
I think it's both. It's very likely it was glued on if those motors did.
Yeah.
glue on.
Everything-
Wait, you're not supposed to use liquid nails for gasket
Yeah.
maker?
I mean,
So I think this guy
Not
had,
twice.
hadn't he, Charlie?
yeah, it probably was the original race team that did that.
So just to explain, all the CBR 600s, the later ones, have quite a peculiar valve cover gasket. It's got a big rubber seal that goes around the perimeter, but then it's got 4 pear-shaped individual gaskets that go around the plug holes, and they're
So
quite
when I-
large.
When I look at the gasket, it looks like those are connected with the main gasket.
Yeah, but it's only connected by a little bit of string. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
it's
one individual,
it's one piece, but you regard them as individual.
Yeah.
And Charlie's gasket is actually stuck on those 4, and I mean it is stuck. So the sacrificial part here really has to be the valve cover, because if we destroy the cylinder head, I mean it's the end of the world, isn't
No,
it,
we
Charlie?
were like trying to pry that thing. We were like fucking hitting it with hammers. Like that thing's not moving. Like
The dead blow
Right.
side whack didn't quite do it.
No.
kind of thing?
Absolutely not. And it's a
Yeah.
difficult, it needs pulling up in the center. It needs pulling up around the
Well, and
plug holes.
they welded like this stiffener in the frame right above the valve cover. That's not factory, right, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which
it's,
is a
it's-
fucking bitch to do any work to the valve cover because there's this goddamn metal bar in the way.
Extra parts, hell yeah.
But it, like Jason was there and he was saying that's to like stiffen the front end or whatever.
Does that mean you have to drop the engine then?
No, there's enough clearance. It's just like there's just something in the way, so it's just a pain in the ass.
yeah, and
Okay.
it was more of an annoyance rather than anything else, because I wanted to have a look at the cams and measure them and see what the overlap
Well,
is and the height of them. But we'll do that next week, Charlie.
I think probably the valves probably haven't been touched since it was an actual race bike back in 20 years ago. So it's
Right.
probably a really good idea to inspect and adjust the valves anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that really should be a starting point for anybody. If you buy a used bike and it's got some miles on it,
Yeah.
and the fact is Charlie doesn't know how many miles there is on this bike because it's got no speedo.
It's got an hour meter, but that was a very previous owner that put
Would
it on
you
there.
like to speculate that hour meter is from 2000?
No, it only has 2.5 hours on it. The dude put it, the very last owner that I bought it from
Right.
put the hour meter on it because they wanted some sort of tachometer, but the thing's useless as a tack because
Right.
So it's got 2.5 hours since they glued the cover on.
Oh, mate,
No,
it's probably got
they got-
15 years since they glued the cover on. But I mean, it's basically your starting point for any
Yeah.
used bike. Change the oil, change the plugs, check the valve clearance if it's got any miles on it. And that's really a starting point. And then maybe check the air filter and blah, and just do a full service.
Well, and
Get it
especially
back up and running to 100%.
in the context of this motorcycle, that you know that its life has been ridden really aggressively and hard on the track, and then I'm going to be riding it on the track at pace and really, stressing the motor out, that you want to just make sure everything's good before you start going crazy with it.
Right.
So, Charlie, you know why I'm so excited for your bike?
Why?
Because this means you're going to do, like, I assume you're going to get into the AFM racing, the local racing chapter here.
No, he's just gonna get a pile of money and burn it on fire.
I
feel like dropping 2 sets of tires every weekend.
Doug, you should be excited as well, because my first year that I moved here, when I didn't really have a lot of friends, these few friends that I did have were AFM racers, and I would spend weekends going with them to the AFM races. And when you do that and you get to know the community there and you see the same people all the time and you see how much of a community is, and that people are helping each other, borrowing tools, helping fix each other's bikes. And when you become like a part of that, it's really fun. And I would honestly rather spend a day at, club racing level than going like MotoGP where you're just a spectator.
Oh, yeah.
Because in this club racing, you get to be a participant, even if it's just helping to put bikes on stands or putting the warmers on the tires or, whatever. It's so much more fun to be a part of it. And you're my ticket, buddy.
You know what
Nice.
motorcycle does not have a kickstand? It's goddamn CBR.
He's just gonna hold the bike all day, Liza.
I will hold your left. I will be ready. I will be so ready.
And I'm excited too, because out of all of us, Charley is
The
by
fastest.
far the most talented rider. I mean, he is just spooky fast. I mean, we all think we're fast, but dear God, that man can move. And actually seeing you on what potentially is a competitive bike, it's going to be interesting to see how you handle that thing. It really is.
I think it is competitive with the modern bikes, especially at this level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to show a lot of the guys on the more modern bikes the way home. Really.
I'd like to add to that Charley is one of the better riders in the group. And I don't think it's necessarily because he can go fast, because anyone can twist a throttle. But Charley rarely crashes. I think the difference between Charley and a lot of other people is the ability to know where that edge is and to know where that limit is and to stay shy of it. But do you disagree? You do disagree, Micah?
Who's got the Stockholio pin right now?
Yeah,
Jeremy.
Jeremy does.
Well, no. Unless he's on someone else's ride, then he'll just pass the ride leader and crash 3 turns later.
I'm not saying he doesn't crash. Anyone who rides hard takes that risk. But I think that's, to me, what separates somebody who's a good rider, somebody who knows where that limit is and is able to just stay shy of it. Again, you can ride fast and reckless, but fast and safe is a lot harder. And I think that's what Charley's able to do. I'll tell you another thing I'm excited for. You guys, my 690 got a makeover today.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a facelift.
I really like that. So on the KTM bikes, the graphics are it's a sticker kit. I wish more bikes had this, you guys, because it was really easy. I just put a heat gun and pull the old one off and then put the new one on again with the heat gun so that you can get it to kind of get the bubbles out, but also to do some of the little intricate turns and curves. And it looks good. And it's basically the same company kit that was on before. They're good, heavy duty stickers, graphics. What I used, it's a company called Kutvek, KUTVEK, and they make all sorts of graphic kits for bikes. It was really easy to go on. The only reason I changed it is the graphics that were on there just weren't my style.
Well,
What, the
They
bullet
were-
holes weren't enough?
I have a rule against skulls and bullet holes.
Oh, you can't have both.
Yeah, but
Well,
Not after
You
Or
might
like
as well
either.
add some barbed
in my
wire.
case, either. Even though I did just put a skull on my other KTM, but that's on a top box. That's different.
But
Um,
the older graphics, they were a little
tribal chrome
hokey.
doodle. Yeah.
Yeah. The bike looks a lot more grown up now.
Yeah, it's just nice, nice KTM kind of. It's not really stock, but it looks like it would be a factory kind of. Nothing crazy. Orange, black, white, little bit of blue.
You had to trim just a little bit, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't like but it was not much though.
Yeah.
No, there was a couple of the pieces that I don't know if my bike has a different fender, but the ones on the fender didn't match the contours, so I had to just cut it a bit. But it was pretty cool, and it completely changes the look of
Oh,
it.
good
So-
Lord, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
grown up now. I mean, instead of saying a little bit crazy now, with the previous graphics, you would have been describing it as cray cray. That is how much your bike has grown up.
Yeah, it was it's pretty cool. Now I want to look at like what other bikes there's kits for. Ooh, I wonder if my SMT. Ooh.
I mean, a lot of bikes have graphics kits, especially if they're dirt.
Yeah. A lot of the dirt bikes do.
Yeah, there's tons of them for the XR, the 650. There's tons of them
Then why aren't any of y'all using them?
because they're lame.
Yeah. I'm
Black.
gonna
Black.
Does it come in black?
I'm gonna give you a misfit top tip, Liza.
Oh, yes.
When you do an internet search for SMT, be
Yes.
very careful not to do an internet search for SMMT, because you'll see lots of people wearing shiny rubber drinking a beverage from England.
Or do be careful.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Emma. And I have a top tip for you as well.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Yeah. Never play charades with a deaf person. You can't win.
My God.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Hey, we're always here to help each other out, right?
No, and I very much appreciate that, darling.
We had another great day in the garage. Lots of people showing up. Megan was there with her baby, Elliot. So cute. What I loved is that the baby's just crawling around and Knot gets down on his knees and is crawling around and then the Chihuahua's crawling around. Like
It was,
a whole lot of things crawling around the ground.
it was a day for being on the ground, and I was determined to get the perfect baby shot. And so I got down on the ground and I took a picture of Elliot. He looked like a big baby. He looked like giant baby from ground level.
And we had free donuts.
We did have free donuts.
So big shout out to Josh. Thank you for the donuts. He brought his Suzuki in. I was afraid you'd give him bad news. Was it bad news?
No, actually, it's he'd run it a little low on oil.
What is
but-
with Suzuki owners and oil issues?
Well, you see,
I
I was
resemble that remark.
yes. Well, I was kind of pressing him on this, and
And I want to just go back because he told me I'm losing oil. I don't know where it's going.
right.
Okay, well, let's wait for Emma. She's going to have to diddle some things.
Okay, so, and this is a conversation that everyone should have about their bike sooner or later. And let's deal with Josh's case first.
Mm-hmm.
Josh's case was he went on a 300-mile ride and he put in half a quart of oil because he was half a quart short. And ostensibly, you think that's quite heavy oil consumption, because if we extrapolate that to 1,000 miles, that's well over a quart. However, I did a little bit of pressing, and that 300 miles was done at over 80 miles an hour. Now, we all know, and I'm a huge fan of DRZ 400s. Personally, I prefer the DR 650. But nevertheless, the DRZ 400 is a great bike. But 85 miles an hour is all the money for that bike. That's wringing its little bloody neck flat on the tank. So he's cruising at just a few miles an hour short of absolute top speed.
Yeah. That's about right. I had mine at 93. That was going downhill with a tailwind
Right,
and a full tuck, and it was bringing the piss out of it.
Say 100.
right. So, and I know we're going to get people right in saying, yeah, I've seen 100 miles an hour on my DRZ and blah, blah, blah. But the fact remains, 85 miles an hour is
Emma,
all
we're
the
saying hi
money.
to Kathy behind you. She's sneaking in.
Oh, was she? She's going to appear on the video.
I love how she gets down on her hands and knees like she's less visible.
And so I said to him, look, and here's where the advice applies to other people about oil consumption. In Josh's case, it's because he was thrashing his bike. And single cylinder bikes, and we've talked about this in the height of the engine and heat characteristics, do tend to use quite a lot of oil when they're absolutely at the limit, which is why when you go to a track day and there's some loony on a super motard, they usually blow it up, right?
Right?
Are you
Yuri?
talking to Yuri?
Well, I mean, and everyone. So oil consumption is as much of a problem as you want to make it. Now, as I said to Josh, look, you're using half a quart every 300 miles. The first thing you should do, change to a slightly better quality oil and see if that affects consumption. It probably won't. But nevertheless, you know that for every 300 miles this bike does, you're going to have to put in a little bit of oil, and you're diligent to that. So oil's cheap, engine rebuilds aren't. Carry on till you get pissed off with putting oil in it. And it will tell you when the consumption starts getting bad, because I watched him just blast off down the road. There wasn't a trace of oil burn on it at all. So it didn't smell bad. It wasn't laying smoke down. So the oil consumption is really very, very small. And it truthfully, it might be at the very, very high end it's actually burning in. So I told him to put up with it until it got
How long
worse.
did he say he had it? And was that the first? Has he done an oil change on it yet?
Yeah, he did an oil change on it. The oil wasn't bad. There was a tiny bit of metallic in it.
There is a process with that bike because it's got a wet sump. So there is
Yeah,
a
yeah, you
process. I'm just
drain-
wondering if maybe that was his first time and he just wasn't doing it right or something. But
It may be. He seemed quite knowledgeable.
and there's a lot more than 3,000 miles on that bike. He said
Oh, yes.
the tag or
exactly.
the odometer said 3,000. I'm like, but
No.
then I noticed that his odometer cable was loose.
Right.
was like
So-
wrapped
so-
up.
Loose? It was zip tied.
It was
up in
zip
the air.
tied to the fork. Yeah.
yeah, so
Like,
somebody's pulled a cable and to keep the mileage down. So the bike's got some history. But unless you're laying a smoke trail behind you, as long as you're diligent, oil consumption's not a problem. But you see, I grew up with English bikes that really you expressed miles per pint in an English bike, and they were never ashamed of it. I mean, if you look at a brochure for a Triumph from the 1960s, they'll say, yes, it does this to the gallon in terms of fuel, and it does 500 miles per pint oil consumption. It's not something that you should be ashamed of. It's only a problem with people who, number one, use their bikes hard, number two, aren't diligent about checking it. Because topping off your oil's not a problem. Running it out of oil, like happened a couple of weeks ago, is. So there you go.
I wanted to share another cool story. So last week on our show, we had the Evil Knievel contest.
Oh,
and
yes.
We had the winners who got Evil Knievel toys. Well, Gwyn, who had that amazing limerick, he's from Australia and said, you know what, go ahead and give my toy to a little kid. And I was thinking, like, who would be a good, like, how do you go about doing this? And then I thought of who would be perfect. You guys know up on Ocean Street, there's a woman who is out there every day with a flower cart selling flowers and some fruit just sitting there on the sidewalk.
Oh, by Chase.
Huh?
Yes.
By
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chase?
right in front of the bank. Yeah. And she's got like a 5-year-old kid who just sits on the sidewalk playing with himself. And then she's got a baby strapped to her. And every time I go by, I see that little kid just sitting there, just playing with some little toy or book or whatever, just being such a good kid. And I thought, I know Perfect. So I got a friend of mine who speaks Spanish and went down and introduced ourselves to the mom and explained we have this toy to give away. And I always see this kid and he's such a good boy. I'd like to give him this toy. So his name is Angel. And we went over into the parking lot and pulled it all out. I let him pull it all out. We put it together. And he had no idea what this thing was, but he saw us pull up on motorcycles. And I'm like, you like the motorcycles? He's like, oh, yeah, right. And so he pulls out this toy. He doesn't know what it is. Well, the moment that I put it in, wound it up, and it shot out, and he just went,
That is so cool. It's awesome.
that look on his face. He smiled so big, and his eyes got big, and he ran, he got it, he brought it back, and he's like sitting there backwards, like, trying to figure out how to do it. Did it? I played with it a few times, and then I took it over into the dirt on the edge, and he's and it like jumped the curb, and he's like, and I just kind of relived my childhood for like a moment, and was like, oh, this is perfect. So thank you to Gwen for letting us get away.
And I have a postscript to this story.
Oh,
So
do
as you know, I always have to leave the recycle garage a little bit early because I have a drive back to Monterey. And it just so happens that I was on Ocean Street, probably about 4:30 because I left a little bit late today.
Mhm.
And I saw the lady selling flowers and I didn't see the little boy and I was concerned at first. And I looked back in the parking lot because traffic was kind of slow. And there he was playing with his Evel Knievel
No.
motorcycle
Nice.
way back in the back of the parking lot where his mom decided it'd be safe.
That's awesome.
That's
Oh.
great. That's wonderful.
So, yeah, that's what life is all about. Evel Knievel toys.
Yeah, that was fun.
You roped another one in.
You made another misfit.
Learn 'em young.
Exactly. Well, and speaking of misfits, I figured it's time for a game. You guys like the games, right?
Yeah.
This one is a new one. Okay.
All right.
You guys remember the old Newlywed Game?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the infamous question on the Newlywed Game?
What's the strangest place you ever made whoopee?
In the ass.
Up the butt, Bob?
Honesty might not be the best policy all the time.
So I thought we'd play a similar game called How Well Do You Know Your Misfit? That's right, Misfit. That would be me, Emma, and Mycah. So obviously, Micah's partner will be Charley. Emma, who do you want your partner to be?
Let me think. He's got lots of tattoos. He's got a big beard and he's got hair and arms and legs and a face and he's all cuddly like a big bear. Rick.
Oh, weird.
That's so funny because that's the exact same description for my partner, Bagel.
Hey.
Bagler.
Although I don't have all the tattoos.
No, but you have more cats, so we'll exchange one for the other.
I do.
Yeah, I figured, Bagel, you've been coming like every week for like 7 years. You
Yeah,
probably know me pretty good, right?
I think so.
So here's how it's going to work. Douglas, are you able to be scorekeeper for this game?
Yeah, I can be scorekeeper.
Get a pen and paper. So here's how it'll work. Mycah, Emma, and I have already answered these questions. So I will pose the question.
Wait, how do we cheat then?
What? You can't. You can't. I will post the question, and one at a time, each of you guys will answer it. And anyone who gets it correct gets a point. It's as simple as that.
Oh, blimey.
Let's
All
party.
right.
All right. Let's start with something very simple. So the question is, what is the first bike you ever rode? So Rick, let's start with you. What is the first bike Emma ever rode?
Woo-hoo. Well,
I know you're trying to think, what did they call those steam-powered bikes?
Yeah, like that thing Jesus used to race to high school on.
Come on, no respect for Emma.
No.
Well, no,
With the
and
wooden wheels.
I think we're allowed. I think we're allowed to help. So
Are
No,
we
you're
going
not.
motorbike?
No, you're not.
I have a
No, you're not.
technical question.
Emma, you cannot help.
No
Well,
help? Okay.
A
No,
technical question. Are you saying the first bike they've ever like been on?
Ridden.
Been the operator.
Operator. Yeah. All right. The first bike you ever rode. Rick, what do you think is the first bike she ever rode?
sorry, Bantam. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat.
You're hilarious. You know, part of me would imagine it's going to be something Italian and something dirt bike and something obscure off of left field, because that's how my Emma works. And I'm at a loss. This is such a great
Take
question.
a guess. Take a
you
guess.
fucking win. Bull taco.
Good guess.
You know, it is a great guess, but it was a little two-stroke. It was a BSA Bantam, little bike. Long before you came along in my life, Rick. So you're excused, darling.
Yeah. All right. Charley,
Nil point.
what was the first bike that Micah ever rode?
TTR 125.
That is correct. Ding, ding, ding.
That's not fair. I mean, they're like married and everything.
He was there.
I know. Well,
It's not
Bagel.
fair.
Well, you know
I've
the rules
told
of the
this-
game.
I've told this story before. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
The first bike I ever rode when I was 12 years old.
Oh God. Because I think the first bike you ever owned was the Kawasaki KZ400, right?
We're sticking with this question.
Yeah.
The first bike I ever
The
rode.
first bike you ever rode. God. Was it like a Honda Trail 70 or something?
That is a very good guess. And no, I didn't get one of those until I was 14.
Wow.
The first bike I ever rode was a Suzuki GS 650 when I was 12 years old.
Nil point. Nil
But-
point.
It brings us to the next question.
Right.
What's the first bike you ever owned? So, Rick, for Emma, what do you think is the first bike she ever owned?
It's either.
This is
Well,
hard because my time
yeah.
machine is just not working correctly today.
Just take a guess, man.
Hey, Rick.
I'm
Don't,
gonna,
Emma, you
I'm gonna
cheat.
assume.
Don't you cheat.
No,
Emma.
I'm not going to cheat.
You tried
I'm not
to
gonna-
cheat last time.
Here, I'm covering Emma on the screen.
No.
I'm gonna assume that Bantam might have been something that was yours, or is this an assumption?
It's
that would
close.
be wrong?
It's close. All you've got to do, Rick, is say BSA B25. That's all you've got to do.
That's what I meant to say, Liza.
All
Go
right,
ahead
I'm
and
calling
rewind.
foul on that one.
On
Emma,
point.
you cannot
On
give him
point.
the answers.
7 points.
So, no point. No point.
No point.
All right, Bagel.
That's
what
the
was
good try
first
there.
bike that I owned?
So I believe the first bike you owned was the 75 Kawasaki KH400.
So that is a very good guess. And the second bike I owned was a KZ400. The first bike was a CX500, the Maggot.
Oh.
The maggot.
Nil
But-
point.
Was that the plastic maggot?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Charlie,
Oh, wow.
The
What
GS
was-
No,
500.
turbo.
the first bike, the GS500? Point. Correct. All right.
This
Now-
is rigged.
There's no point for
it's
that.
not
No point.
fair.
Hold
I mean,
on.
it's like, look at them.
Everybody else.
Just look at them.
Emma, do we need to get married?
I think
All
we
right.
do, actually.
Okay, now this is going to take a little bit of a turn. You guys know the game, fuck, marry, kill, basically, right? Well, now we're going there. So, Rick,
do
if Emma were to make love to a bike, which one would it be?
And you owned one, Rick.
Dude, quit giving clues.
I'm not giving him a clue.
You just
I'm not
gave
giving him a clue. No,
Douglas,
it
I need
wasn't
you to
even
be
me.
judged.
I didn't
You need
even
to call-
say anything. I
Wait,
didn't
wait.
even.
It could
All
be of a few things. I've had a few motorcycles. I'm going to give
So,
Emma that.
What
But I
bike?
do know what it is because we've talked
Yes.
about it, I think.
Yes. Okay.
It would be Emma's version of literally what a standard Harley Davidson would be, a super glide, if you will.
You know, it's actually, that is a brilliant guess, but it's not correct.
Just say it is. We can get a point, Emma. You're doing
No,
this
but I
wrong.
know the answer.
You already
So
answered
tell
these
them your
questions.
answer.
What would the answer be if it's not that?
You know, you owned one.
Bonneville?
Oh, there you go. There you
That's
go.
not what you said earlier.
That is what I said earlier.
No. You said your Trident.
Well, okay.
Throw another cylinder on there.
This is why they're
Yeah,
written
it's the
down.
same thing. It's the same. It's half a point. Half a
All right,
point.
Bagel.
Yes.
What bike do I want to make love to? You know this one.
Um.
You know this one.
I mean, is that your up the butt bike? The Harley XR1000?
That is not correct.
Oh, what is
Great
it?
guess, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a
The-
great guess.
Britain V1000.
Ah, it was between those two.
Yeah, I know.
Ah,
How many
All
toys
right.
do you have of each? I guess that would be.
I actually don't have any toys of the Britain. I have
Yeah,
there's
but
a
I think
waiting
yes.
list right now to get one.
yet.
I remember we were talking. Okay.
Yeah. All right, Charlie. What bike does Micah want to make love to?
FZ07?
That's incorrect.
Ah,
Micah, you
That
want to
was-
tell him?
That was my original answer, and then I changed it later. It's the Ducati Scrambler. I just fucking love how this
And
thing looks.
Charlie, your
Oh.
answer was not only wrong, it was so wrong, it has sucked a point away from your existing score.
And
Minus
onto
1
ours.
point.
Don't do that to this family.
Scorekeeper said no. Scorekeeper said no. All right, next
Cat's
round.
judging you.
Hey, Rick. Now we got that out of the way. What bike does Emma want to marry?
It'd have to be something refined with dignity.
Let's booster!
Possibly. Emma's got this goozy lust.
Yes.
You didn't say if it was the be all end all wife, but one of them would be a Moto Guzzi.
And actually, I kind of would have a Guzzi on the side, but you're absolutely right that it is a bike that I own. It's my lovely RF 900.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
I
See,
could have
this-
told you
This is
that.
not that easy. All right, Bagel.
Yes.
What bike do I want to marry?
God. Your Africa Twin.
Oh, that is a great guess. And you know what? That was my first answer, and I crossed it out and wrote the KTM 990 SMT just because I'm so comfortable on that bike. I just feel like it.
I'm
fits-
going to allow that. You get a point for that.
Really?
No, he
Yep.
bloody doesn't.
No, I crossed it out. I crossed.
No,
it.
yeah, give
No,
him
it's
give
all
him a point. Give him a
You have
point.
to-
Give him, give him a third of a point.
Hey, half point.
He was distracted by the cat.
Three-
So
All right. Well, let's see. Charlie, what bike does Micah want to marry?
The FZ07?
Judge, I need you.
I think it counts.
What bike do you want to marry, Micah?
I said my MT07, but that's
Oh no! I'm sorry. Not only is it wrong, Charlie. In fact,
You
it
don't
is
have a
so
place to talk,
wrong.
Emma.
It is so wrong. It has reduced your existing score by yet another point.
They're the same bike!
It's looking bad for Charlie.
all you did was change.
Sorry, that's science.
It's
Is
sci-
the,
it is. It's
is
science.
the
right,
Gladius
Rick?
the same as the SV650?
Yes.
So, Judge, what do you say, Douglas?
Half point.
Reduced
Okay.
from your existing score. I'll agree with that.
Okay, here's where it gets
That's the right answer, Micah.
here's where it gets funner.
I have an MT.
Yeah, but it's not your dream color.
Oh, it's fucking
Oh
great.
my gosh. This is what breaks couples up right here.
Motorcycle.
All right, Rick. What bike does Emma want to kill?
Well, since I've gotten all of them wrong, let's see what else we can do. you know, being of the recent-ish history in a service shop, I know that people that work on the Desmo things either love or hate them. But you know, I'm gonna get it wrong, so I'm just gonna say maybe a KLR 650 just to say she fucking killed it.
You got it.
Shut up.
1,000
got it.
points.
Shut up.
You got
Wow.
The cockroach of motorcycling.
Yes.
And you know,
take
truthfully, everyone should know me well enough by now that I don't hate anything. I mean, KLR 650s really have quite a lot of redeeming features. But let's just say I love it less than everything else. How about that?
Okay.
Maybe the fact that they were outdated when they came out.
Well, it's something like that. Well done, Rick.
Good
Well
job.
done, mate.
All right. Bagel. What bike do I want to kill?
Oh God. Any bike from Orange County Choppers? I don't know.
That's a good guess. And interestingly enough, it will be mentioned later. But no, I chose the Great Marshmallow, the PC 800.
Aw.
Really? Oh, you hateful
Oh,
Liza. You
What?
hateful
That's a
Liza.
good bike.
It is a
I-
great bike.
Look. All right. Charley. What bike does Micah want to kill?
Gosh.
Oh, she's giving you the look.
Um,
This is
well,
exactly the
okay.
look they used to give on the game show.
I've got two answers. One would be the GS 500. The other one would be the Devil bike.
So you got to pick one, dude. You can't just start shooting a lot of answers out there. What bike does she want to kill?
Maybe the GS 500.
All right, you want to
Why
tell?
would you say? I literally call it a devil bike. Why would you choose that over like, oh, my first bike that I still miss
Aw.
sometimes, over the bike that I still make fun of him for owning?
And so, what
I
bike is
cannot-
that?
oh my God. I said the devil bike. I said Charlie's RM 250 that he
I
Great.
Two-stroke dirt
I love,
bike.
and it. Yeah.
Okay.
The evil bike.
Yeah, but
No-
there's nothing
no
wrong
point
with
for
that
Charlie.
motorcycle in general.
In fact, Charlie, I'm going to quote Frank Zappa here. The beat goes on, and you're so wrong.
Nothing wrong with an RM 125.
There was-
That particular RM 125 was fucked up.
There was a lot wrong with your RM 125.
Yeah.
All
There
right,
you go.
let's see. All right, I think we're coming back to the next question. Let's get one that's not such a slam dunk. How about
Hi.
okay. You're back, Rick. Hey.
Welcome back.
I don't know
So-
what the hell happened. I apologize. sir.
It's okay. Nobody knew you left. Here's a simple one. Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
What city did Emma grow up in?
Oh, well,
A lot of listeners who know the answer to this question.
great. You know, she has this tattoo, and
Yeah.
it says "Made in England."
Okay, so you've narrowed it down to what country?
I sure did.
Well, honey, it ain't Alabama, I'll tell you that much.
No, I think I would have known that.
Just start saying where it isn't. And we'll narrow it down.
Right, right.
Pick a city. What city did she grow up in?
Hinkley, Leicestershire, England.
Oh, you almost got that right.
It's not far away. Rick, darling, I grew up in Birmingham,
Down the street. Yeah.
Birmingham, which is just down the road from Hinkley. But Birmingham it is. And, you know, I'm gutted. I'm crushed.
All right, let's see how well Bagel knows me. Bagel, What city did I grow up in?
You grew up in St. George, Utah.
That's incorrect.
What?
I grew up in Oakland.
Oaktown in the house.
Oh,
Look
What's
at
up, Jim?
you. Hey.
Oaktown in the house.
That's right.
Bagel, nil point.
man, bummer.
All right, let's see if Charlie cannot mess this one up.
Oh God, Charlie, the pressure's up. If
Charlie,
you get this one wrong, Charlie.
What city did Micah grow up in?
Santa Cruz.
That's correct. Charlie gets a point.
Sunny, Santa Cruz, California.
Okay, how
No,
about
Rick.
Yeah, game
Right.
is not rigged, everybody.
all right? This one's a little bit of a harder one. All right, Rick, what bike has Emma never ridden that would surprise most people?
Ooh, like Emma's never ridden that would surprise most people.
And I mean, it's such an obscure question because it's like, it's going to be a common bike, and just by twist of fate, I've never ridden it. So
I'm trying to think of things I've seen your butt upon and taking those off the list.
it's quite a long list.
Start narrowing it down by what she hasn't ridden.
Yeah, right. This gets hard. I'm gonna go. I don't see Emma flying through the air or ripping in the dirt very often nowadays. Shit, I don't know. Let's go with the Tenere and just carry on.
Good guess.
Much as I love them, no, I love Teneres and I love being on them. The answer is going to surprise a lot of people.
It's got to, yeah.
I have never ridden a Kawasaki ZX6, or more specifically a 636. I've worked on plenty of them, but by some twist of fate, when it comes to the test ride, it's always been, oh, take it out, it'll be fine. Or I've been in a rush and it's just been finished and, ridden on the bench. And then, so I have never actually taken a ZX6 out, ZX6R. Quite a common bike, but
Yeah, surprising as hell. Yeah.
yeah, but it is, it's more of a twist of fate than a choice. They're damn good bikes. So I don't want people to think I don't like them. It's just, it's funny how fate deals you a hand once in a while.
All right, so Bagel, what bike have I never ridden? And this is a bike that's been on my someday list, but that day has just never come. So it's a bike that I want to ride. I want to experience.
I'm assuming besides the Britain.
Well, yeah, I mean, but no one would be surprised that I have not ridden a Britain.
Oh yeah. I remember you talked about this not too long ago.
Ugh.
I'm totally blanking though.
Just pick anything.
Was it the Harley Panamera?
That's actually not a good guess at all because hardly anyone has written that.
Well, okay. But at least that's one you haven't ridden,
but
right?
that is a bike that I've been wanting to ride. That is on my someday list.
Okay.
No, it's actually the Yamaha V Max.
Oh, okay.
It's been on my.
I was gonna guess that. I was like, I knew somewhere in the back of my mind. I was like, it's got to be a V Max.
Yeah, for decades, it's been on my someday list.
But alas, Doug, you're not competing. So, Bagel, nil point.
Well, I'm giving myself a point. So
Yeah, I think you should.
There you go.
All right, Charlie. What bike has Micah never ridden that would surprise most people?
Never ridden, even for a moment.
That would surprise most people.
I've had the opportunity, but have not taken it up.
Hey, is it possible you guys can get closer to the microphone?
Yes.
Is it
Thank
the
you.
Super Hawk?
Did you ever ride the Super Hawk?
look on her
I got
face.
Super Hawk.
Classic.
We talked about this last night. Where I
Is it the Triumph?
It was the Triumph, the 675.
Yeah, Charlie, the Triumph 675 that you owned.
Oh
Ooh.
goodness.
Boy, this is not looking good for you, Charlie. Even though he may win the game, he's really going to lose.
To the couch.
All
I
right.
can't remember if
A few
Micah
more.
written
Got a
Super
few
Bowl.
more. Let's see. Can you do a recap of the score, Douglas?
Bagel has half a point. Rick has 1 point. Charlie has 2.5 points, and I have 1 point.
Also, we're tied. Rick, we're tied
Okay.
with Doug.
Only
Hey,
two
let's
and a half
get Charlie
points really go
disqualified.
either way.
All right. For this next one, Charlie, I need you to just close your eyes.
What?
Close your eyes.
She's gonna smack you.
Just close your eyes. Okay, thank you. What color, Rick, what color underwear is Emma wearing right now?
Oh, me? What color?
Yeah, Rick, what color underwear is Emma
Well-
wearing right now?
Leopard print. Duh.
That's correct. That's her brassiere.
Oh.
She's actually, well, it depends. It
I was
started
standing
out
on
as
my
hot
head.
pink. It started out as hot pink this morning, but she was lighting up part so much. I'm guessing it's a tan or brown.
No,
Brown
leopard print.
now.
Like
It's brown
leopard
now.
print. It's the pink with the little brown dots.
No, this is just hot pink.
Exactly.
With a little.
He knows.
Little,
Yeah.
little freckles.
Every time she farted, I'm like, brown now.
It's a leopard spot freckled pink underoos.
Yeah, thank you. 10
All right.
points.
Bagel, take a shot.
Could you tell me what the question is again exactly?
What color underwear am I wearing right now?
None.
White.
I guess.
That's a fair guess. No, it's green. I had Emma confirm that. We
Okay.
These
confirmed
green.
each other's knickers today.
And you know, I always saw you wearing kind of like the long flesh-colored stuff. You know, that's sort of. I'm wearing pantaloons.
Salt Lake City underwear? No way.
Exactly, magic underpants.
Charlie, what color pantaloons is Micah wearing right now?
Something that, like multicolored or something.
Okay. What you do?
What, got a yellow in the front, white in the middle, and brown in the back? Is that what you're saying?
With little bandoliers or something.
Oh, he's in so much trouble.
Uh, I know. I know. I'm a little late to this whole
Motorcycle
conversation.
Underwear.
Yeah,
Did I
Jim.
miss something? Am I on the wrong podcast?
I'm gonna say like blue. Are they blue?
Blue, good guess. Micah, you want to tell everyone what color your underwear is?
They're red.
There we
Charlie.
go.
Oh, you were in big
There you
trouble,
go.
Charlie.
Ooh, and someone wasn't paying attention. All right.
Up next on Charlie Sleeps on the Couch.
Yes, exactly. The next thrilling installment of Charlie with a black eye.
I'm quivering in anticipation.
And nobody really wins at this game.
No, darling, everybody wins in this game.
Oh, I'm winning so hard right now. Okay. For our next one, Rick, what is the fastest speed that Emma has clocked on a motorcycle?
Ooh. With the ancient devices of measurement that were used in such a time.
Yes, we had to open the steam valve fully.
How many
Ramming
grains
speed.
through the hourglass?
How many cubits per fortnight?
73 smooth. No.
And I need this in bushels, please.
These
Oh.
they're on closed courses.
Converting. No. I'm gonna go in a mile per hour figure, and I'm gonna say that's acceptable, and Emma can convert it. And I'm gonna say Emma's found herself in the north of 170s.
Oh God, I wish.
No.
You're actually 14 miles an hour out, darling.
Yeah, I'm close. We're so close. It's
Well,
stupid.
it is close. So,
Wait, but this isn't The Price is Right. So being over means I win, right?
there you go. 10 points. Back
They
in,
got 21 points now.
I'd say we're unbeatable now, Charlie. No, back in 1992, I bought a brand new Honda CB1000 Project Big One. And Honda very diligently said on the brochure, that it would do 156 miles an hour. So I had to prove it.
Absolutely.
So So I broke it in and did 156 miles an hour on the A38 just outside Tamworth at 2:00 in the morning. And it was absolutely bloody terrifying.
I was
I
going
would
to ask how it
imagine.
was.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I was extremely proud of it. It was only a 2-lane road as well, going each way. And so it's 2 lanes going north, 2 lanes going south. And when you, any time, and I mean, I think Charlie's been this quick at least.
No.
When you get above 120, it's like you're in a tunnel.
Yep.
And everything is just moving so fast. You focus on a point way down the road. And it really is like being in a tunnel. And you're hanging on for grim death. And this thing had no fairing. So you're kind of in a full tuck on the tank.
And crosswind really
Oh, yeah.
changes everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I picked, it was one of those lovely nights you get in the late summer in England. It was very, very still. I mean, you could hear a butterfly clear its throat from a mile away. And so it was a perfect night for it. And I thought, tonight's the night. So off I went, 2:00 in the morning. And I can assure you that Mr. Honda was absolutely right.
All right. So
That bike indicated that it did what they said it would.
yes. And we are
Proper.
talking indicated. So Bagel, you want to take a guess? My top speed.
I really have no idea, but I'm going to guess 142.
Ooh. Well, thank you. You're giving me a lot. I've only done 120. And I've done it on 2 bikes, my Ducati 900 SS and my GPZ 1100. Yeah, once you start running out of road really fast.
Yeah, no doubt.
And the one when I did 120, I got a speeding ticket.
Oh, well done.
But I was racing a friend on a Ducati. It was in Georgia when you're on these like long highways that are 2 lanes each way, big grass median. And there was no traffic. And I slowed when we started getting up to traffic. We slowed down, and a cop appeared. And I remember he pulled us over and he goes, "Do you know how fast you were going?" I'm like, "Depends. When did you see me?" Right? I'm like, what did you get? And he's like, "You were doing 72 and a 55." I'm like, oh, shucks.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
Sorry, officer. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
I know. Never say your speed. Never say your speed. So yeah, 120 for me. Charley, what's the fastest Mycah has ridden?
That she, I think 107.
107.
110.
And what bike do you think this was on?
So I think Micah does things on motorcycles, but not tell me about it because I give a shit about it. Because she's like, "That's dangerous. You can't do that." So how fast have you gone, Mike?
Safety
Charlie,
instructor.
yeah, Charlie, you can come over to my place tonight.
I'm 110.
I want to remind everyone that tracks exist, and this is where speeds that are not highway legal should be done. And with that said, 119.
And what bike was it on?
FZ6R.
Whose bike was it?
It was mine at the time.
Okay.
I got that bike up to 140.
I remember I was on the back.
No, you weren't.
Not that time, but I'm
No,
not.
we didn't go that fast then.
You know,
All right. We've got 2 more questions for you to get wrong, Charlie. All right.
No, I'll get them wrong too. Don't worry.
I was close.
No, I got faith in you, Rick.
All
Well,
right.
that makes one of us.
All right. Rick, who has been Emma's favorite guest on the show so far?
Ugh, fuck. That's hard because I know there's definitely a few.
Charlie, do not look at Mycah. Do not try and read her mind. I see what you're doing.
Quit it with the married hanky-panky garbage.
Yeah, is he doing the Vulcan mind melt
Yeah.
on her?
Yeah. Yeah.
Elspeth Beard for 300, please.
You know
Oh,
what? Oh, jeez. Because there's
Oh.
really 2 that are head and shoulders above the rest, and Elspeth's one of them.
So
But
we're
Rick,
right. 10 points. We win the end.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but she's not actually my favorite.
That was my guess.
I got to guess.
Oh yeah,
I'm-
what's your guess, Jim?
Wes Cooley.
Yep. Well done.
Jim gets a point.
Jim gets a point.
Dude, I
Jim,
know all
hold
these
on.
answers. You're so lucky. You're so lucky. I'm still on the wrong time.
You know what?
Or else I'd be winning this whole game.
I just
Wait a minute.
next
Is
time
Jim
we play,
on our team now?
no, I realized the next time we play the game, if your partner doesn't get it, I think it should go to the peanut gallery who can guess
But-
for anyone.
And the on-
That could be
and-
fun.
I got 2 so far. I got Oakland and I got Wes Cooley. How am I
And-
doing?
And you know, the only reason that Wes Cooley was set apart from Elspeth, I mean, I think in terms of interviews, they're both equally great. But it's just, you know, I've had this kind of sickly hero worship for Wes since the 70s, since he was winning races on a GS1000. And you always say you should never meet your idol because you're always going to be disappointed. And I was quite the opposite with Wes. I mean, what an extraordinary gentleman. What a wonderful life he's led even since his crash. So Wes is number one, but God, Elspeth was a good interview too.
Yeah.
So
All right.
well done, Rick, but
All right,
Real
Bagel.
close.
Who has been my favorite guest so far? Ooh,
Oh, geez.
I know. There's been so many.
Yeah, you've interviewed all of them pretty much.
Oh, Jim's got to guess too. Let's see if Bagel gets it first.
No,
hmm,
I'm the peanut gallery, right?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, hold on. All right.
wow.
me.
God, how do I decide?
These are great questions. I just want to throw that out there too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jim Rice,
Ooh, we do have an autographed
right?
photo up on the wall. Good guess. He was a lot of fun. He had some
He
great
was.
stories. No, mine is Craig Vetter.
Peanut gallery.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
Is that what you're going to say, Jim?
Well, yeah,
Say yes,
of course.
just say yes.
Okay, give him a point. Craig
No,
Vetter because he
Actually,
was, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, what about? I was gonna say, as far as guests go, Norman Reedus. How do you have a better
That was my
guest
guess,
than that?
No,
We get the West Cliff ride. You get
Norman
on TV,
was
and he's the
great,
coolest guy ever.
but Craig Vetter has been my favorite because he was the first like big name that we got in the garage, that first Hall of Famer. And for somebody of my generation, like Vetter fairings was something like I couldn't wait until I could get a Vetter fairing on my bike. And then when I finally got one, which is like 20, it was like 20 years old, somebody had like put one to the curb and I scooped it up lovingly and I mounted it on my 77 CB 750 and was like, that was exactly what it needed. I took it for a ride and the first like bump I hit, it put a dent in the fender.
Oh,
But I
It
was
was
like
love.
so stoked to get that bearing on there. So yeah, that was a big deal for me. That was also really when I learned that we could interview kind of bigger names in the industry, you know, that where you have to like really be prepared, do your research, know what you're talking about. And that was the first one that I really did that for. So it was Craig for me. All right, Micah. Do you think Charley knows who have been your favorite guest so far?
Absolutely.
All right, Charley, go ahead.
Jocelyn Snow.
Ding, ding, ding.
Big money.
Redemption.
Yeah, there it is. It's because I talk about how cool Jocelyn Snow is like daily.
Well, but that interview is also like key for Mycah with motorcycling.
Oh, absolutely. She was one of the first like women. Like I remember Liza told me, "Hey, you should stay for this interview and for this podcast. You'll really enjoy it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, sounds good." And usually for the podcast at that point, I didn't know anything that anyone was talking about, and I just went on my phone the whole time because I just didn't understand anything that was happening. And for Jocelyn Snow, the whole time I was just open mouthed, and I remember afterwards just being like, "You are the coolest woman that I've ever talked to in person, and thank you for being this person in the community."
Because Mycah
She's
had
so
also
cool.
like you had just started riding.
Yeah,
too.
I was pretty new then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's definitely an inspiration. Okay, we got one more left. And this is always the last question. So the question is, dear Rick, what is Emma's current up the butt bike? Oh, and I'll
I'm
leave
in
this.
so much trouble.
Well, if he doesn't get it right, I'll put it up to the peanut gallery. See if you guys have a guess.
I'm in so much. I have moved out of Emma's life recently and haven't been able to be there with her through the struggles of the up the butt bike. God, I'm at a loss. I know she's working on that Vincent right now.
Ooh.
And I don't know if that might have sparked something or when you asked this question.
I like the way.
But I'm going to throw a vague Vincent as an answer.
Do you want to throw in a model of Vincent, or you just want to say anything?
I'm going to go vague because if I Black Shadow and I'm wrong, then I'll be super bummed.
Oh, I
So,
know.
Black Shadow it is. Fuck it. Roll it.
Okay. And that is, I think, the number 2 butt-worthy bike, but not for Miss Emma.
Because I was wrong, of course. So come on, Emma, put the heels on and stomp on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. My up the butt bike has never changed. And I always use it as an example because your up the butt bike can be a very special bike, but it doesn't actually have to be a particularly good bike. And mine, in terms of a success and what it is as a bike, is a terrible bike. But I still get excited when I see them, just like the very first time I saw one in 1973. And it's a Benelli 6.
Oh, okay.
It's a Benelli 750C. And I remember seeing one as an 11-year-old in 1973, and I thought it was the greatest, most exotic thing I'd ever seen. And I've never changed from that opinion.
I got
Well, they
something
are
exotic for you.
Mikey.
It's Mikey
Yeah,
3
haven't seen
times.
exotic yet.
Mikey, you're just in time.
Listen.
The next subject I'm going to bring you in, but we're on the last bit of
RoboCop?
our, hold on. We're just finishing up a game right now.
Don't I look like
All right.
RoboCop with his
All
helmet
right.
off?
Just hold on there, mister. All right, Bagel. I think you know this one.
I think I do.
What is my current up the butt bike?
That would be the Harley VR 1000.
Yeah, the one right behind me on the wall.
Yep.
Yes.
We got a point. That's a real point too. Yay.
That's point.
That's a full point.
Oh, wait. Wait.
I learned something in them 7 years.
I know. Now let's see if Charlie's sleeping on the couch. Charlie,
Well,
what is Micah's current
so Micah,
up the butt bike?
I want
Well-
to clarify that an up the butt bike cannot be a bike that is already owned.
Well, I was going to say it was the MT-07 or FZ-07, but,
Yeah, but
she now
what is it?
owns that.
Which is why
So
we said
now
current.
currently-
Current up the butt.
Probably have to say the Scrambler.
Nah, that's
No.
a good answer though.
Oh, you're not in
I'm-
trouble. That's good.
Yeah.
Take the win.
My next bike will be a Ninja 300 or 400. So I put that.
That's not
Ninja
your
400.
next bike. It's your up the butt bike. What the fuck is that?
I like motorcycles. I want more.
Like, one of my up the butt bikes would probably be the Britain.
I mean,
Make it count.
But I know I'm never
So,
gonna.
hold on, Charlie. Do you not approve of her up the butt bike? Is that what's happening here?
correct.
She set
Don't be
realistic
modest with your
goals as
up the
up the butt bike. Which
I've
is-
always set realistic goals for my up the butt
Okay,
bike.
you two
Let-
said-
Let people enjoy
Don't
things,
think up the
Charlie.
butt For a bike you can go out and buy.
Maybe I'm just cheap, but
Doug, do you remember when Megan's up the butt bike was a CM 400?
Yeah, she got one.
How much is it to rent a couch in Santa Cruz for a night? I'm asking for a friend.
So,
We have a very comfortable futon.
Oh, perfect. Thinking.
all right. So, what's the score, Doug?
Well,
Yeah. Oh,
so Bagel has 1.5 points.
woo! One
Nick's
and a half
got 1
points.
point.
I
Charlie's
want to
got
recount.
3.5.
There you
I've
have
got 1, and Jim's got 2.
2
Should be-
points.
yeah.
All right.
So we definitely lost.
So Charlie is the
That's
winner.
okay. We lost with dignity.
I'd like to. I'm just
Grace.
proud of the fact that Bagel, we beat Emma and Rick.
I'm surprised.
Fair and square. No
I mean,
cheating.
but I know that Emma has a sticker of a fried egg on her black 3/4 helmet that was in her garage of the old place in Ferndale 10 years ago.
If
Yeah.
you combine Rick and Jim's scores and multiply by the time that Jim wasn't here, you know,
You multiply by 3.14.
It is pie.
and
It is Pi Day.
Yo, is
Alright.
Bagel a cat lady?
I am.
Yes, Bagel has become a cat
I
lady.
am now cat lady.
You were late to the party, homie.
Yes.
so, and plus what also
I've seen it all.
Welcome to the club.
I've seen it all.
I think
Hey,
you're the only
nothing
one who
wrong with-
isn't a crazy cat lady, Mike.
I am a fucking cat lady. I swear to God, I got the knitted sweater and all that shit, dude. I'm all about it, but my wife's allergic. I'm a pussy. You know what I mean?
Hey, I wanted to check real quick. Jim, are you there? Oh, we just lost Jim. All right.
Oh,
I'll,
We're
I'll
hoping to
keep
get
Jim. I'll
And
be-
he won.
So we're hoping to get a ride report from Jim. He's been down in the Salton Sea. Have you guys ever
Oh,
been down
wow.
there?
Yeah, so I've been riding down here. There's a lot of sand. It's
Yeah,
really
thanks. Yeah,
good, like,
basically.
rocks.
Down in the
I mean,
Palm Desert.
riding
I've ridden past there.
He's been riding in sand all weekend.
I saw a movie about it with Val Kilmer.
I had a date
So
milkshake
helpful.
once.
You're so helpful. But I do have another thing I wanted to talk about that Mike, you would actually have some input on this one. But first, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we still have openings for the Chickastan trip. Micah, I wish you could come on this.
I am saving for a track bike.
I know. Well, wait a minute. You can borrow his. September 6th through 19th, I'm taking a group of women riders to Pakistan. So this is for women, and Tamar just signed up. Dr. Detroit.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to
Very
be
cool.
cool. So yeah, if there's any women out there looking for an adventure, you can go to adifferentagenda.com. And that's where Moyne, our friend Moyne Khan, lists all of his tours, and look for Chickastan. And that's where you sign up. I've been working on it. I cannot wait.
Can you see this, Liza?
RoboCop. I think that's from
Yeah.
RoboCop 2.
Murphy.
Yeah, doesn't that look like me?
Yeah, pretty
No.
much. Yes, the dome head, exactly.
It's the craziest thing. It's like, you know, when you have the half hoodie on. It's me. See? When I get all
But like
serious-
handsome. Yeah.
Okay, are you done, Mike?
Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you. You guys, so I don't know about you guys, but I watch a lot of YouTube videos.
Still laughing at himself.
One of the channels I watch a lot is called Bikes and Beards. I really like it. And it's this guy who has a shop out in Pennsylvania, I believe it is. And he's always getting all sorts of different bikes in there and weird bikes. But one of the ones one of his latest videos was,
Chopper.
did you see that one?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I saw it when he got it too.
Yeah. So he bought a Orange County chopper bike. Now,
I saw this.
yeah, it was pretty interesting. He was talking about what it's worth now. And this was not one of the like off the factory. This was one of the TV show bikes, a one-off. And this was I think it's like 15 years ago, I guess.
It was built for like a military guy or some
Yeah.
sort of ex-military person.
It was
And
2006.
it was at the time it was appraised at about $80,000 when they built
Yep.
it. And he just bought this bike for $8,000.
Damn.
It's just did not hold its value. And
No.
he wrote it and did kind of a review of why it's such a horrible bike. And basically, yeah.
I just want to note the bike's name is Corporal Punishment.
Yes, Corporal Punishment.
Yeah.
And I want to say the bike still looks like it did when they made it. I mean, it's been
Yeah.
kept maintained. It looks clean, nice.
Yeah.
But it's a rigid, and they didn't even put springs under the solo saddle. Like that's a rigid too.
Hey, that
And
happens.
And it's
I'm
so
gonna
bad.
look this. I'm gonna look this bike up right now. So it's OCC.
Corporal
Corporal
Punishment.
Punishment.
It's not an extreme anything. It's
Nope.
yeah,
Not
it's well, it's similar to that style.
No, that's not it.
No,
That's definitely not it.
But he was
It
just saying
doesn't
what a
look that
horrible
fancy.
bike. And it's got a really raked out front end, and it's got some spikes and some stuff. It looks okay. And they only put an 80 engine in it, so not even one of the big engines. But it just got me thinking about customization and the trends that take a bike to basically unrideable, right? And like this bike is basically unrideable. It's now just a showpiece.
There's really not there's not much to it. It has like the narrow front tire, but it has like that wide glide front end extended, which is kind of weird.
It's got a 240 rear. It's all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, the fat tire.
It's all the things that makes it look cool, but riding it's really not made for riding.
I don't think it looks cool. It's not my style.
Yeah, but that's the whole point I wanted to talk about, because this is not the first or the last time that custom bikes have been taken to extremes. And I'm sure that everyone here has encountered these trends, these extreme bikes. Emma, we were talking about this, and you said way back in the 60s.
Right. Well, in England, of course, there was the cafe racer. I'm not even going to say it was a craze. I mean, it was a real lifestyle for a lot of people. But part of the cafe racer culture was putting clip-ons on your bike, because normally motorcycles come with a standard handlebar and you kind of sit upright. In England, traditionally they're a little bit lower than in America, but it's still a sit upright handlebar. Now, part of converting your bike to a cafe racer would be to put on clip-ons, and clip-ons clamp around the fork leg and point downwards, which is really emulating the race bikes. And the traditional place for clip-ons is kind of butted up against the top triple tree. But, during the mid-60s, certainly late 64, early 65, they kept getting lower and lower and lower until there were people riding with clip-ons that were basically right on top of the lower triple tree. So your hands were actually below the bottom level of the fuel tank. And I mean, it just extreme to get that look, and it was just to get that look. I mean, riding a bike with clip-ons, especially if you've got footrests that are in the standard position, is excruciating on your back anyway. But riding with them so low is just ridiculous, almost unrideable. So that's just an example from normally very conservative England.
And then, of course, I have that book out in the garage, that Bosozoku. Japanese, where they're doing crazy things with.
I'm glad you went there.
Quite capable bikes.
That's a great book.
And this is the thing I found fascinating, is that we associate a lot of these unrideable bikes with big twins, with Harleys, or the American, but it's not. It happens around the world. It happens to all different types of bikes. And if you're not familiar with the Bosozoku, how do you even describe it? They make it look like the bike has been crumpled in the middle, folded up. So the headlight is pointing up like up in the air.
Right. They mount the fairings at odd angles. In the front.
And same with the seat.
You have like 12 over 2.
Very exaggerated flare.
Yeah. And then the same with the seat. They mount it up. So it looks like the bike has been tacoed.
Yeah.
And pipes.
Yeah, loud paint, like those weird semi trucks they get down on that are fucking super cool with the paint lights and stuff.
Right.
It looks like you'd park your Bosozoku right next to that.
Right.
Yep.
And what I find very interesting with the culture, I mean, very much like if you build a cafe racer here in America, generally there are the it bikes like the Viragos and the CX500s. In Bosozoku, there are the it bikes as well, and one of them is the Suzuki GS400, is very popular, and the other one is the Suzuki GT380, the old 2-stroke triple, again very much a popular bike for the Bosozoku. And
That
apparently and that's exactly, you nailed it, Rick. They like it because they like that exhaust note. They put the 3-into-1 pipe on it, And the 380, because it's the smallest of the triples, it's got a very, very high pitched exhaust note, and they love playing the tune on the 3-into-1. It's part of the culture.
And Bagel, I think you can comment. You've seen this in the scooter world, yes?
Sure. I mean, of course, there are the excuse me, there are the mod bikes with the 50 mirrors on the front, with acting like a gigantic sail as you're going down the road on an already underwhelmingly powered bike. But there are also there's also choppers in the scooter world too. There are people who will make these insanely long, raked front forks on Vespas and Lambrettas.
A stretched ruckus.
No,
that's what Micah's showing on the screen.
There are stretched ruckuses too. Yeah. I mean, they are rideable, but I mean, of course, the more extreme you get, the less rideable they become. And of course, there's also lots of performance customizing that's done, especially in vintage scooters. That where the more performance work you do to a two-stroke engine, especially, the less reliable it gets.
Yeah.
So you get these crazy, super hopped up two-stroke Vespas that are insanely fast for a half a day until they blow up.
Right.
So
I gotta go, guys.
All right. See you, Doug.
Yep.
Ciao,
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Bye.
So, Mike, you're somebody who goes to shows and builds your own custom bikes. And I would say that you have pretty good aesthetics because you actually make bikes that you can ride when they start.
Shots fired.
I'm curious, though, for you, what customization have you seen that you thought just took a little too far?
On like choppers or just bikes in general?
Choppers, yeah.
Fuck, man. There's probably a couple, really. I mean, the open primary on mine, I would say that's a bit ridiculous. And I mean, it kind of looks cool, but it looks like a clock. But it makes things a bit, and then the jockey shift or the suicide shift.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's cool when I see it, and I'm like, it's a kind of the same kind of vibe when I see somebody who's dressed like super cool, but he's probably a dork. I don't know, but I'm like, wow, that guy looks cool, but I could never pull that off. And like me throwing a jockey shift on my bike, like my shovelhead is like, it's a beautiful, fun bike to ride with a lot of like torque, like it's twitchy. It's got the throttle, whatever the fuck it is, it makes it faster. Whatever. But I just couldn't imagine. And I'm riding.
It's already got no brakes. Yeah,
No, I do actually. My bike, it does have. It have like diesel front and rear. It's like the one thing where I roll up, somebody would be like, "Oh, it's not throwback. Like you got new brakes on the front and back." And I'm like, I don't give a fuck, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I want to ride that. I don't give a fuck. Come on, that's the common sense. Like I want to live to see this thing keep going. But it's the jockey shift, and I mean, we pull up at hills with the guys, and it just seems unfucking reasonable. We're just like at the hill like this, and then they're like doing this shit with the foot, and then like putting the hand down and doing all this, and the light and the
with
bike's
no
going
front brake.
back. No front brake.
Yeah.
No front brake. I mean, it just to me, it's like But again, when the bike's sitting there and you see it, you're like, dude, that's tough. That's tough as fuck. That's cool. Like figuring out the linkage and doing that shit. But it's not for me. You know what I mean? I don't think that that's necessary. And I'll even go further to say that, like you say, it's a cultural thing. Like I love them. I'm looking at both of my bikes right now. I love them. I think they're beautiful. People like to talk about them when we roll up, and that's what's cool about it. But I also know the limitations of it. I'm not going out there to go and rip with the vampires in the fucking hills with one of these bikes.
Right.
Because fuck that. I got this bike and that bike. I got a sport bike and another one. So yeah, they're purpose built. And I think that purpose is, a talking point, or
So-
like, look at me.
I'm going to disagree with you on the open drive. I think that the open drive belts are really cool, but I have seen where people have, instead of using a belt, they put sprockets and had like
Chains?
6 chains.
Yeah.
It just shreds in your pants. Yes. Just shred. Like, I'm like, okay, you've gone too far. Right.
Well, the primary on it is a chain. So if you were to take, so my bike, the way it is it's when you have the primary on there is a chain drive in there, and it's like a double-sided link chain, and that's how it's supposed to be. I suppose it's designed from the factory. I'm not the Harley guy, you know what I mean? And I also know that there's like a certain amount of oil that's supposed to be squirted in there. So when a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll pull off the case and they'll plug up those holes. So what happens is that the chains create friction, and eventually, like, they just don't work, or they'll stretch, or they'll even snap. So those look kind of cool, but from what I hear, it's just like completely not.
It's
I feel like you get a bike like this, like you want to put attention and detail and to try to, you've got something that's 50 years old. Like you kind of want to do a couple of things to kind of let it keep going while you're riding.
That's why you got to run a nice 530 like quad O-ring sealed chain when you do it, instead of what the factory came with. No, but dude, it gets sketchy, man.
There, this is mine right there. You know about that, there, boy.
There you go. You got plenty of room to put
you got a little
sneaker in
teeny
there.
tiny. Mine had a 4-inch.
Listen, I've never been said that. It's never said to me that before. Okay, let's be honest.
Rick, I want to know from you, because a common thing that for decades has been to put a stretch front end, right? So what to you is too far? What goes too far? How many?
Like where's my?
When you say ouch, that's when you know.
Yeah, like is eight over? Is that too far?
No, not at all. That panhead I'm getting right now, that thing's 12 over, and I'm totally fine with it. It's 12 over on a stock rake. That's where I stop. If you're gonna go bigger than that and you're not raking it out, you're throwing that shit into some goofy uphill trouble.
That's 6
I
over.
already can't touch the ground because I'm 3 feet tall.
That's
what are you,
6
like 8
over.
on that? 6? Yeah.
That one is 6, and this
6
one is
looks
8.
good.
And this one's 8.
There you go.
So 12 is pretty long.
Oh yeah,
that's not that bad.
Seen 'em.
Then
I feel like, I feel like past that point, and then it's a bit ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah, but I think it looks good,
For me,
and I like the narrow front end on it. I can't stand the big old fucking wide glide.
You're doing 39 mil front ends too? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. They look
So-
tidy and nice and clean.
Yeah.
Emma, what's the longest forks you've seen?
Oh God! I mean, I tell you,
You wanna
who
go to Born Free?
actually,
Yeah. I've seen
No,
some shit, man.
I tell you, the people who are craziest with the front end. Rick will bear me out on this. The Swedish, Swedish style choppers. Those guys are nuts.
Rigid 4 feet over front end. Yeah.
Exactly. With just tiny, narrow handlebars on it. You should just Google Swedish style choppers, and you'll be blown
like,
away.
Like dinner plate tire in the front. It'll be like a scooter tire, like a really tiny, like mini tire.
Exactly. And that's too much because, I mean, ultimately, I like choppers as well. I love looking at choppers. When I had Mike's chopper in the garage and I was doing that work on the back end, I spent a huge amount. There you are. There's a Swedish style bike.
Yeah,
that one's quite tame.
Wow.
But I spent as much time working on it. It's just looking at it and like, dang, this thing's good looking. It's a beautiful bike, choppers are great to look at, but ultimately it's a motorcycle. You've got to be able to get on and ride it without changing the color of your knickers.
Well, I mean, do you want to ride the bike or show the bike? And there's 2 different stories there.
Yeah, and this is where we get into the culture difference. If you
ride it to
want to
show it.
show your bike, you should be able to either A, ride it to the show, or if you can't ride it to the show, at least ride it from the parking lot to the stand where you get your prize without killing yourself or anybody else or changing the color of your underwear.
I don't care how cool it looks. If there's no flywheel in your motor, it's not a chopper. It's an art piece,
Right.
I've seen plenty of that stuff too, where it's all about the look, to where you're compromising an actual running vehicle because you don't give a shit if anyone sees it taking over.
I got a question. Did you see that bike, that one Born Free? I forget the guy, but it was like he had 2 of them 2 years in a row. One was a blue, one was a red.
Azarus, and the other one, that Vintage Technologies guy with all the open shit. Fucking A, dude.
It had like a half a cup of oil the whole thing ran on because it was
the
all
ceramic
open up on
bearings
top.
and everything. I was telling my boss about the electromagnetic brake he did on that one. You remember? He pushed a button and the motherfucker had like a leverage go gonk, and then the thing like nicely stopped. But he rode that into the show. You know what I mean? So I follow that dude on the interwebs, and that's a great point. Like that's a great case of a too much bike. You fucking nailed it. But I've seen that thing run, so I'm not mad about it. You know what I mean? Like to the moon and back, nah. Like that
Well,
dude's got a.
He powder coated the open cams on it too, or whatever.
That's right.
And all that shit. It was so sick.
It was
like straight
crazy.
see through.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. He had a mirror underneath it, so you could see like open parts underneath.
The cam chest was open. All the rockers on the top were all exposed. Yeah,
that's something that you put up somewhere, and you just admire it. And I wouldn't. I don't know that I wouldn't want to ride it, but it's just you can't ride it. I think you got to like take it home and change the oil like every time you ride it or something. Put more oil in. I don't know. It's like
Bagel.
Right?
What you got?
Well, you I was thinking about unrideable, and the sidecars came to mind. but they have a long and storied history, and I don't want to diminish that. But there is another device that I think is deserves to be mentioned here, which is the toe pack. Do you know what the toe pack is?
No.
It's basically like training wheels for your motorcycle.
Oh.
It's like you take a motorcycle and you add this giant frame with two outrigger wheels on it that bolt onto your motorcycle frame that keep you upright at all times. And the idea is they kind of skirt off of the ground. But having ridden a bike with a toe pack, it's like having a sidecar on both sides.
But that's not done in the name of like art. It's usually done in the name of handicapped.
No, but my point though is that if that's the case, and I totally appreciate that, but that's what I mean. Can-Ams are a great a great substitute for that handles much better, is much safer, and is designed to operate that way, because motorcycles that have toe packs added onto them, that's a tremendous amount of weight. You're adding like hundreds of pounds of weight to your bike.
Yeah.
So it stresses the drivetrain, the tires. I mean, I've seen these toe packs do tremendous damage to bikes before. So I appreciate the thought behind it, where like if you can't ride a two-wheeled vehicle anymore, it's this great idea that you could still ride it with the toe pack. But the end result is that it just becomes a huge just mess, and there are purpose-built vehicles to do that are much better options, like the Can-Am and other similar vehicles, or even just a traditional trike, I would say is a better option too.
So Emma, you always talk about your beloved stretched Busa. Do you think that's gone too far?
Oh God,
or do you think that it's still a rideable bike?
No, stretch boosters aren't rideable. And
Emma's got a big old Busa.
Well, and I mean, when it's stock, a Busa is it. I mean, it's not the most rideable bike stock. I mean, it's big, it's heavy, it's a very good platform for going fast, going really fast. It's no secret that with a few modifications, if you buy a Busa, you can get yourself into the 200 mile an hour club quite easily. Busas, ZX14s, these are the bikes of choice for people who want to go really, really, really fast. But even out the box, it's a long bike. And when you increase the wheelbase of a bike, you make the straight line handling more stable, which is why they're basically a bike of choice for the really high speed crowd. But that detracts from cornering. And if you put a straight line race between a Busa and a Gixxer 1000, it's going to be a good race. Throw in a few curves, and the Gixxer's left the Busa for dead because it's a different bike. If you stretch the Busa even further than it is, you're really exaggerating that straight line performance and taking away from the cornering performance. And the truth is, most stretch Busas live in cities where there's plenty of curves. So it's an entirely visual thing.
Yeah, I just find it interesting. And just going back to the original video watching, about this hated Orange County chopper, but the thing to understand is it is art. And I think for a lot of these people, it's art. I mean, I was talking to Micah about it earlier. It's like, why do people do? And then I was like, guys. Why do guys have to ruin a bike? But Micah, I corrected myself in that I don't know that it was a woman who first put a milk crate on a KLR, which is the exact opposite of a custom chopper. I'm going to have to give a guy credit for that too. So we can't blame guys for the horrible stuff unless we acknowledge the great stuff. The most practical, functional bike ever made. KLR with a milk crate, right? But but I do think it is funny in the name of art that there are some of these trends that go they take it so far, but then you do have a lot of bikes that are built that are beautiful and functional. And one of the trends that I like in a lot of the customizing bikes now, like the Brats and stuff, when they put like knobby tires on there and you basically make something that you could ride in the apocalypse. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love a bike that you can ride in the apocalypse. That's my favorite right now. But I think it's funny and I don't want to hate on choppers because, and that was my point, is there have been trends around the world and throughout time that things go in waves and arcs. And
can I say something about the one of the other things that, now that I'm thinking about it, that I don't like, and the Hayabusa brings it to mind on custom bikes, is really tacky. What do you call it? Really shitty kind of 90s hip hop t-shirt style airbrushing. You know, when you just see those like really tacky airbrush pictures.
But that doesn't change the function at all.
No, but it's just one of those things where it's like they can take.
It makes it hard to look at.
Yeah, and then you just like put a whole bunch of like man, it's like it's good art, but it's just like there's definitely like a threshold of like, wow, you're really talented airbrushes versus like, wow, you're a pretty good artist using an airbrush. And that's what I'm talking about, like that kind of tacky, no border, like just kind of like the fucking hard. I saw one with the what the fuck did I see recently? The Predator. I seen somebody do like a Predator thing on a Hayabusa, and it kind of looked cool, but
it looks like a
carnage.
carnival. The boardwalk did it.
Actually, Mike, I'll take that one step further. And this applies to motorcycles and cars. And that's when you get a really good artist, an airbrush artist or some sort of artist, painting on a shitty bike. And I remember like I had somebody who had like a shitty, like a Ford Pinto or something, right? Yeah. And then he had painted the hood by an artist friend. And then when the car broke down, he just took the hood off and hung it in his living room because that was worth more than the car.
Right.
You know?
And on Emma doing that little cat in the spaceship.
Oh,
yeah. 500.
Yeah. Another thing too is like you're saying about performance with the raking out the bikes and stuff. Like, like I first realized that when I made Freya's Strider chopper, the lack of functionality with like a long rake and how the bike literally just fucking folds in half. Mm-hmm. Like if you're going around a turn, the bike goes like this in the middle.
And what the follow away just is done. Yeah.
So like, but the good thing about it though is like in tight corners when you're back, like you're standing up and moving the bike around, you could literally turn the fucking thing 90 degrees. And the bike just does a full 360 back.
Fork locks are for sissies. Yeah, you don't need none of that.
Yeah. I mean, my sport bike, I gotta K turn it like 30 fucking thousand times to get it where it needs to go because the steering's just like this. But with my chopper, it's like
flop and go.
The wheel is straight up like at a right angle from the frame. You know what I mean?
The only problem I have, and it's an upper body strength thing. Obviously, you, Mike, and Rick are both a lot stronger than I am with arms and shoulders. Is riding a bike with stretch out forks is okay for me if the bars are wide enough.
I was about to say the bars come into play a lot.
Right. Really. So I can actually kind of maneuver the thing around.
Right.
And as long as I've got that leverage, I'm kind of okay with it. But, we're going back to the crazy Swedes. You see something with 2 feet front end and their hands are literally
the
their thumbs are together.
Totally.
And I'm like, you are so on the brink of being out of control with that bike.
Yeah.
One good bump and you're done.
Cool.
Oh,
that's the worst part.
That's
Well,
the good news is
I don't like bunny bars. I don't like the ones that are like this and then they scoop down and you're like, it's like you're praying.
When you're turning and you get to do this thing.
Yeah. No, Mike, you're actually practical. And the good thing in this trend is that this is cyclical. right? And
Cyclical?
this
It's
trend
that too.
from the last like decade or before of being extreme has now gone to practical and rideable. And a lot of the stuff I'm seeing is very practical and rideable, but still finding other ways to bring in art. I mean, I think Arlen Ness is a perfect example. When you look at any Arlen Ness bikes through the years and the amount of like engraving on the engine and stuff like that, there's a lot of cool trends to follow. But I didn't want to be a total hater on custom bikes and just explain like it's it goes in waves and people have to test the boundaries. So I just wanted to share that. But before we get too far in, you guys, I wanted to read some emails. And
What about Jimmy Boy?
we're gonna do Jim's ride report next weekend because he's still driving and he keeps dropping out.
His
I
big
will
dick
tell
Jim,
you
though,
though,
right there.
if you can hear me,
Yeah.
I did just Mike, just for you. I did about 300 and look at some Harleys, lane splitting. There's another one. Fucking there they go, mobbing. I did about
Is it raining there?
No. But Mike, you should have come, bro. I hope you made a lot of money on that job.
Oh, you're fucked.
But yeah, anyway, and also I met a guy, helped him pick his Harley up out of the sand. So hi to Harley in the sand dude. He'd been riding hard from Boston for a couple of months.
Wow.
Damn.
But
Cruising hard.
anyway,
Cool. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
get your ride report because you had a fun weekend, it looked like, and some
was nuts.
hard
Yeah,
ring
yeah.
and harsh conditions.
Yeah,
which for
sorry I
some
was
reason
late.
you love.
yeah, I was so checked out that I forgot about the time change. That's why I was an hour late.
It's all good. It is all good. Well, let me get to
Anyway,
some of
all right.
these emails. And this one is from Michael. And
Hi, Michael.
he says, your podcast has inspired me to finally get a project bike. Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
good.
So, you'll like this, Emma. He purchased a 1979 GL 1000. It runs, but needs a lot of detail work. He's hoping to transform it into a cafe racer of sorts.
Okay.
And he says, I will continue to listen to get general tips and tricks for this new project of mine. Thanks for info and entertainment. Learn and laugh. I like that.
Learn and laugh.
Learn and laugh. That could be our new tagline.
It could be.
Nice.
Motorcycles and Misfits podcast. Learn and laugh.
Like it?
Next one is from Bradley, and he's got a good question. And what I like about this, he's right to the point. He says, Emma, I hear you talk about how Yuasa batteries are the best,
Yes.
but it appears that motocross batteries are from the same factory. What are your thoughts about that? And how is the quality of Deca batteries or Motobat batteries? And this is from Brad.
Okay. And that's a great question, Brad. I have heard. What was the other one? A Deca?
Yeah, Deca and Motobat. And
I can talk about Deca if you need.
Yeah,
on that one.
Why don't
But
you
let's start
shoot
with
him?
let's start with the motocross. It's made in the same factory as Yuasa. Does that make it the same battery?
No, absolutely not. Because
There you
the
go.
thing to remember about, and this applies to, let's use a car analogy, is Lexuses are made at Toyota factories.
Mhm.
Is a Lexus a Toyota? Yes and no. You know, there's a lot more stuff on a Lexus, and it's a little better made.
Well, just
A
because it's
motocross
the-
isn't a bad battery. And I want to make this absolutely clear that a motocross isn't a bad battery. However,
Motobat.
well, we're talking about the motocross right now.
yeah, the motocross right now.
Oh,
I've had a couple of motocross batteries fail quite early. And you're talking like 12 months, 18 months. The thing I like about Yuasas is you can almost always bring them back.
Mhm.
If you've got the right charger, and that's part of the thing. And remember, a tender is not a charger, it's a tender. If you get a proper charger that will actually cycle your battery, and if you watch a proper charger in action, it'll put like 12 volts in it, and then it'll flash across and pump 14 volts in it and almost kind of shock the battery and then cycle back to 12 volts and continue doing that until it's stable. You can always bring UASAs back. Motocrosses, you can't always. So I stand by my statement. Now, motorbats are an interesting thing. They've been around for a few years now. You can always tell them because they're bright yellow. They're MF batteries. They're sealed for life. I have heard very, very good reports about their quality. That said, they are expensive. They're really expensive. They're like 50% more than an equivalent UASA. Are you getting 50% more battery? Yeah, I really don't know. I know you've got some experience with them, Bagel.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you, and it might be vanity on my point, but I put a lot of batteries in bikes. I do a lot of high-end work for my clients where money isn't really an issue. And I still get through an awful lot of UASA batteries in my builds. Simply because I know that it's going to cost me a little more than a conventional, just, motocross or Excite battery or whatever. But I'm going to put it in. It isn't going to give my client hassle, which means I'm not going to get hassle. And if they run it low, I can bring it back. And that means a great deal to me because everything I do is guaranteed. And if somebody leaves their ignition switch on and completely flattens their battery, I will warranty that battery if that happens to them within a year, which means that if it's an inferior battery and they've killed it, it's on my dime. Whereas if it's a UASA, I can bring it back and have done many, many times. So
All right.
if you want to share something about motobats, Bagel, go ahead.
Yeah.
So now this is quite a while back. I had gotten a motobat in 2008 for my Vespa GTS, and it seemed to work okay at first. But after, just within a couple of months, I would say even, I started having just random, very odd electrical issues with my bike where it would just cut out just randomly. While it was riding, sometimes be difficult to start, but then other times it was just fine, and it was an incredibly difficult problem to chase down that literally took me years to figure out. But what it came down to was that there was some sort of a failure within the battery. This was a Motobat AGM battery, where one of the plates was having some sort of intermittent connectivity, where sometimes it would be fine and it would put out full voltage, but then other times it would drop, and that would cause the electronic ignition
That's
to
a nightmare.
cut out.
Yeah.
Right, wouldn't be able to start sometimes, and then it would be okay, just out of
Right.
the blue. It was a really just one of the most difficult problems to track down until I finally put a new battery in it, and then they just disappeared.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And this is the thing. So let's go back to UASAs. They're absolutely stable.
Yeah.
And that's a big plus. And they're stable because of the size and amount of plates they use. Because in modern bikes, the battery is part of the charging system. The charging system's balanced. The alternator puts out X amount of AC current. It gets turned into DC current and regulated by the voltage regulator, but it needs the battery as a ballast. And if the battery is playing up and giving, voltage spikes, it can easily take out the alternator, the reg-rec, or in extreme cases, it can fry your CDI.
Yep, and I've had all of that happen.
So there you go. So it's vital you have a very stable 12 to 14 volt platform before you even decide to try and diagnose electrical glitches. So, I got to say it's UASA all the way for me.
I just
All right.
want to say one thing.
Yeah.
That he was working on an electrical problem for fucking 3 years, and it took you that long to look at the battery. Bagel, come on, man. Even I know better than that.
Well, every time I
What the hell's the
tested
matter
it,
with you?
every time I tested it, it tested good.
Yeah, if it's fluctuating.
You won't do that again if you have
Yeah,
another
right.
problem.
Right? I won't do
What
that
the
again.
hell's the matter
That's
with
what
you,
matters.
man?
But can we
Always
just
check the battery?
Right?
can we just talk about testing a battery?
Wait, I just want to say something before I say something, and I'm just kidding, Bagel, because I gotta swear to God, if I hear a fucking noise on my bike, I'm dropping the engine and all this shit. And then someone's like, "Dude, it was just a fuse that popped. Why is your engine disassembled?" And I'm like, So I go full retard.
The only proper way to test a battery is load test it. That is the only proper way.
Yep.
You cannot put a voltmeter on a battery and say it's good or not.
Yeah,
And
no,
when I
nothing
say when I say load testing, if you've got a proper load tester, it's got big heavy cables like a jumper cable. You connect them to the battery and you put a load on it and hold it for a second and then flick it off and see if the battery recovers. And time again, especially on cheaper batteries, you'll have a battery. Okay, it's holding 12.5 volts. That's great. And you put a light load on it. That's great. It recovers. But the moment you put a heavy load on it, it dies and it won't come back. Your battery's toast. So here's the Misfits top tip. If you've got a battery that you think is suspect, you either have to take it to your local bike shop or your local AutoZone and get them to load test it.
You're speaking in generalities. Okay, why don't you be more specific, like what you did on my bike last week?
Like what?
Because we're at the end of the show and don't have enough
Exactly.
time to get into it.
I'm just saying because she did exactly the same thing to my bike last week. I didn't even have to pull it out of the bed, and she just pulled the tester out. And what did you do?
Load tested it.
Yeah,
I load
she did.
tested it and it failed.
Yeah, it looked fine. It was 12.5, and all she did was turn the key on. And the minute the key went on, it dropped to like 4 something.
Yeah, and that was an easy fix, Mike. Did you get a UASA, darling?
Oh, you know I did.
And did you put it in the bike?
Oh, you know I did. I rode that bitch the other day. And let me tell you something.
Running and charging fine?
Yeah, it's working. This thing is running like a son of a bitch. Who's talking shit about Motobat?
Well, I had years of headaches with Motobats. Yeah.
Oh, you never
Now-
put one in a Savage 650. That's why.
Well, maybe. And this
That's
was
the
a long
first
time
problem.
ago too. So hopefully their quality has gotten better since then. So, this is.
I just don't like that they're like bright yellow. It just.
I appreciate your input on that, Mike. However, I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
another
yeah.
email to get to.
We'll let them know.
Whatever.
This one says, "Hello, Misfits. This is from Steve. I heard Miss Emma is opening her garage soon, and that there will be cool swag to buy. How and when can I get a Give It the Beans t-shirt?"
Oh God. Soon, darling. So let me give you a very quick update on the garage. There was a slight hiccup, and it was a communication thing between me and the landlord. He provided me with the room I wanted, but left bare studs on the one wall.
Yeah.
And to our English listeners, those are timbers. And I said, look, I know it's a workshop, but it's a nice place. I want you to put some drywall, sheetrock on that wall. And he agreed. I think I'm moving in tomorrow. If that is the case, the first couple of days, I've got to paint it. I'm going to do it like a commercial kitchen. Everything's going to be gloss white with a grey floor. When I've done that, all my furniture goes in. When I've done that, all my bikes go in. When I've done that, everything gets set up in the arrangement I want. When I have done that, I'll be putting together the merch.
Okay, which is a long way of saying about 2 months.
At least 2 months. So,
Okay.
Steve, thank you for your inquiry. There will be merch available. It'll be very reasonably priced. So if you order merch from me, I know I've got to be quick. You're going to get, if you order, say, a T-shirt, you'll get a T-shirt, you'll get a business card, you'll get some stickers for your bike. You know, you'll get a lot, but please be patient. When you stock clothes, it costs a lot of money because you can't just get one size of clothes. Everything's going to be black, so it's just one color. Hope you like black, but you need a ton of sizes. So, you know, it's a couple of $1,000 hit to get clothes. Sorry, Liza, I'm done.
I got a guy if you need.
All right. Look,
like
we're going over time, but there's one more, and this is a good one, and it relates to the last question. And this one is from Eric.
Hello, Eric.
And he says, I was listening to your latest podcast while returning to Santa Cruz from the Sierras yesterday, and I heard Miss Emma is opening up a shop.
Y'all.
So I wrote down the name Mototown as the name of her shop, but I can't find any info on how to contact her. I'm interested in bringing in my KTM 690 Enduro to see if she can help me bleed my front brake. I know you have a 690 as well, so I'm open to any tips you have for bleeding the 690. I've tried bleeding the standard method of pumping the lever, holding, opening valve, repeat to no avail. The fluid just doesn't move. And I've tried bleeding with a vacuum, and I've tried bleeding from the caliper up to the master cylinder, and I can't get the fluid to move no matter what I try. I pulled off the master cylinder, blew out all the ports, confirmed I get pressure on my finger when pumping the lever. So I'm pretty sure the master cylinder is okay. I don't know if the ABS is preventing a successful bleed or if I'm just missing something obvious. So this bike, he last rode it on a 10-day trip from Santa Cruz to Colorado in late 2017 for a KTM rally. It then sat in his shed for way too long. And time was not friendly to the front brake. So he says, I'm at the point where I'm out of ideas and want to get back on my bike. Can you put me in touch with Emma?
Well, I'm gonna help you right now, Eric, and I will help you. The telephone number for Mototown. Now, bear in mind, I'm not in business now, but you can all write this down. Telephone number for Mototown is 831-760-8252. 831-760-8252. Don't book your bike in now. I can't fix it now. Send me a text. Say hi. Just tell me who you are.
So, and Emma, when they call that number, what phone will you be answering on?
I won't be answering. That's my business phone. I've got it. It's a mobile phone. Just please send me a text. I've got plenty going on. However, let's get down to his front brake. Here's the trick.
Yes.
Eric, pay attention, darling. Take the caliper off the bike. Jam a piece of wood, a folded up piece of cardboard, something that's about the same thickness as the rotor in the pads, because we don't want the pads crushing together. Undo the bleed nipple. Stick a clear hose on the bleed nipple and, you know, a little container to catch the brake fluid, and stand on a chair and hold the caliper above your head. The higher you hold it, the better it's going to be. And get bleeding.
I see. So you get the air bubble up to the top.
Trust me.
Does he really need to stand on a chair? Can he not just hold it above the master?
You know, it's a game you can play with your friends.
How tall is he with no shirt
nail
on?
on a post.
Yeah. It's going to be tricky because it's limited by the ABS, because his line goes from the master cylinder through the ABS and into the back into the caliper. But nevertheless, the same rules apply. Is hold that caliper up high and it'll do it.
What about
and if he has any problem, I'd be thrilled to help him, and I'd be honored to help him, because I do work on KTMs. I specialize in foreign and domestic only. That's all I work
Basically,
on.
pain in the ass bikes.
Doesn't that make everything?
Foreign and domestic only, Charlie.
Good listener.
Can I just share real quick? Years ago when I had a CB 900C here and I had rebuilt the calipers and put them back on the bike, and I kept bleeding it over and over and over, and I could never get it to work. And I think Doug was the one who finally helped me figure out that when I put it together, the bleeder valve opening was the same size as the banjo bolt opening. And I put the bleeder valve below the banjo bolt above. So there was a pocket of air. I mean, I was just like, I just put it together. It looked like it fit, right?
Always had air in your.
And I'm like, I always had a giant air pocket in it. That was a killer.
Well, you know, famously, Bonneville's, like Rick had, you actually had to drop the rear caliper off the bike to bleed it, because the bleed nipple really should be the highest point. And when it was bolted together on a Bonneville, it wasn't. You could never bleed them. So you had to actually drop the caliper off and twist it and then bleed it there. Yeah. But if Eric has any problems, the reality is, and it breaks my heart to say this, look, I've got to move in. I've got to get my business license, my EPA license, my Bureau of Automotive Repair license, all sorted out. I'm not going to be doing work on bikes much before May. Bureaucracy takes time, and I have to do it right because I'm kind of high profile in this town. Everybody knows me. Everybody knows what I'm up to. So, and I want to do this right. So I have to do the correct thing before I can work on your bike.
Emma, not to take business away from you, but would this be a good candidate to just have him come to the garage on a Sunday?
I would love him to come to the garage on a
There
Sunday.
you go, Eric. There's your invitation.
And that's an open offer to anyone. I mean, if you bring your bike to Mototown to have it worked on, the advantage is it's going to be at a bike shop. You can drop and run, or you can sit on the couch and drink coffee and watch me do it. But it's standard shop rates, which means, you know, it's $150 an hour. Now, if you can afford that, that's just great. But if you can't, bring it to the garage on Sunday. And
if that's all
I'm
you
not
need
going to
for
be fixing it, but I'm going to be standing over you while you're fixing it.
Yeah.
And that's nearly as good, right?
Well, there you go. And I'm just going to throw that out to anyone else because we had some great visitors today. If you want to come visit the garage, you can. Come on over on a Sunday, hang out. We like visitors, especially ones that bring donuts.
Oh, donut good.
Well, I think that wraps it up for now. We got some more emails I'm going to save, but big thank you to everyone who sends them. Keep those emails coming. We get to them as much as we can. And I think we helped a lot of people today. So you guys, Newlywed Game, or we got to do that again? I just like seeing Charley get in trouble. I think I got to create games where I ask Micah to get Charley in trouble.
Totally into it.
That was the best part for me.
Yeah, it was like reality TV, but better.
I know.
I'm
Hey,
so
and
glad to be that funny for you guys.
and just remember, if you would like to see a video version and see what we look like, go on over to our YouTube channel. You guys, I don't know if you know this, but I've now been editing the podcast and the Zoom video on the same night. But it takes so long to upload this video. It's usually not out till Monday morning. But yeah, which reminds me, I got to get to work. I got some stuff to edit, man.
You're a glutton.
And I got more video of stuff around going on in the garage. I posted last week, just stuff we're doing. That'll be out in the middle of the week. So go to our YouTube channel. I think it's Recycle Santa Cruz on YouTube.
Right.
That's good. I think
that's it.
Check it out, and you can even go back and look at some of the videos that Mike used to make. A lot of fun stuff, fun times.
Briefly about the first time I rode a TTR 125, that video is on the YouTube
channel. Oh, Charley, you need
Nice.
to watch some more videos.
Yeah, the first time Marie ever drove a sport bike was Zach's. We got that on video too.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff there. So I think it's ready to wrap up, and this is when I say thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers, especially, and just to all the misfits out there. We love you guys. Keep it coming. We love all the communication and the guests. I think that's it. So we'll keep you up to date with Emma's Mototown Garage. Emma, there's no reason you can't get those Give It the Beans t-shirts ordered now. I mean, come on.
Mike, You got a guy?
I got a guy in New York.
What the hell as good as that going to do me, darling?
Was this like a
he does
back
me
alley
pretty
deal?
good.
Yeah,
He does me pretty good.
I know a girl that makes some shirts. You know, give me a.
All right. See, Emma,
Yeah,
get
he
on
gives,
it.
he gives
Get
me a
on
good deal. He does all my
Connections.
business stuff.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'm-
So I'll get, I've got a lot of things to do this week. But my promise is, let's get those shirts done. And just so everybody knows, the black and the Mototown logo is blue. It's large on the back, and on the front, breast pocket, it's smaller. But it's a really cool looking t-shirt. It's a great looking logo. It looks like it's neon. It's a cool t-shirt. You'll look good around town in it.
Will it
And-
get me laid?
Yes, it's absolutely guaranteed to make
Even in
you
a trailer?
absolutely.
Hey! If this trailer's a rockin' whatnot bumper sticker.
Darling, I absolutely guarantee if you wear that t-shirt in downtown Auburn, a sailor will follow you home.
There you go.
Whoa!
And I'm gonna drop a little teaser here. For all of our Patreon subscribers, in the $5 or more category, I do something a little special every year. Everyone gets something sent out to them to show my appreciation. And I've been working on that new thing. Some people have seen some images. So just know that's going to be coming soon for the spring. There's going to be some Misfits treats coming soon. So big thanks again to everyone. I think we're ready to get out of here. This is Liza.
Bagel.
Charley.
Micah.
Emma, darling.
I'm Rick.
Bye.
And we're out of here.
Cool.
Cool.
Wow, that actually worked.
Yeah,
That'll never happen again.
no, it will.
It was organic.